We'll now move on to the last panel discussion of the day. Last but not the least, I must say, rise of regional OTT, rise and rise of regional OTT, for which I'm going to call upon stage Ms. Preeti Murthy, the president of Group M Nexus. I also request Mr. Vishal Chinchankar, CEO, Madison Digital, to join her on stage. Welcome, ma'am. Mr. Anil Airur, the Group CEO, Inside Media Flowers TV. Mr. Sarath Mohan, the business head for On Steels. Mr. Jay Kishan Chapru, head media and PR ITC, is going to be the mediator for this particular panel discussion. And the topic of discussion is rise of regional OTT. Over to our panelists.
Very good. Nice to meet you.
Your choice, right or left? Thank you.
Hi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have a very esteemed panel with me, and I would actually request them if they could just take a minute to introduce themselves to the floor. Maybe we can start with Preeti and then...
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Preeti Murthy, currently doing the role of Nexus president for Group M. Nexus is the performance ecosystem of Group M. And I'm a Chennai girl. I did my schooling in Chennai. So every time I come to Chennai, it's a feeling of home. So thanks for having me, Shankar, and the entire Fourth Dimension team.
Hi, my name is Vishal Chinchankar. I am the CEO of Madison Digital, and I run another unit called as Madison Alpha, based out of Bombay, and living out of flights of late.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharath Mohan, business head of Ferron Steels. So I carry 22 years of experience in cement, especially in building material segment. So that's about me. Thank you.
Myself, Anil Airur, Group CEO of Flowers TV, GC channel in Malayalam, as well as 24 news channel in Malayalam.
Thank you. I think the topic that we are going to be talking about is rise and rise of OTT in South India. I think the question is actually relevant to pan-India in a way, because while there's a significant influx of multiple platforms coming in, and the consumption behavior of audiences has changed in the last 24 or to 30 odd months. Probably pandemic aided some of it probably would have been organic. But I think the questions that most of us would have at our end would be pretty much similar, whether it be South India or whether it be rest of the country. So maybe I'll start with Anil. Anil, you technically head a broadcast business right now. You have linear television, if I would use that term. And I think within the markets, Kerala has seen a certain shift which is slightly different than the rest of the markets. How do you think things have shaped up for television and OTT in Kerala as a market? And what has been the audience reaction or acceptance to that change?
Basically Kerala being a literate state from last so many years, I think whenever the new technology came, it has been accepted by the public as well as viewers. See, in Kerala there are around 93 lakhs of homes digitally connected. So in a home, earlier you have one screen. Now we have multiple screen, 3 to 4 screen. And the viewing pattern gone to in a privacy matter. Earlier we were viewing in a drawing room where all the families are there. Now it is almost separated in bedrooms, 2-3 bedrooms. We have 3-4 screens. So the content consumption character has gone in a different pattern. So that actually we are witnessing not only from COVID area, it has been happening for the last around 10 years. See, our channel is launched only 8 years back. If you take our content, Flowers TV content, it's almost, we were aligned with the younger audience from the beginning itself. So you can call it OTT platform in television.
Okay, speaking of OTT, I think my friend Nitin is missing out here. Nitin. Aha.
Check. Can we welcome Mr. Nitin Burman with a huge round of applause? He is the head non-subscription revenue of ARA Media. Thanks for joining us.
Nitin, maybe
Yeah.
you can introduce yourself as well.
Thank you so much. I think it's been the VIP entry that I made, right? A late entry. So I'm Nitin Burman. I head non-subscription revenue for AHA. And it's been a privilege to be part of this panel. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Okay, Vishal, you have been handling digital for quite some time. Help me understand when a digital plan is being constructed by you, where does OTT fit in? And how does it help your plan? And if you could also share some insights in regards to how do you build reach with digital specific to OTT, that would be really helpful.
Sure. So, at Madison, we don't look at digital and TV separately. It's a very integrated way of planning that we look at. Of course, we've built a lot of tools which gives you a probabilistic reach and frequency for respective markets in absence of obviously the eCam of Park. So I think the way when the plan comes in or the brief comes in, it's not really looked at more from slicing it into an OTT versus anything else, but we rather look at it saying that what are the channels that are going to give me the maximum reach and frequency. Now there are two aspects of it. One is you'll have clients which will look at impact. You clearly go after buying out some of the impacts, whether it's on TV as well as on OTTs. And the second ones are the reach and frequency, the typical FMCG guys like you, probably you will be more keen on looking at how to maximize your reach at 1 or at 3, right? And of course, that's given a birth to a lot of CPIR models and all that stuff. But having said that, what we do is that we look at the television data, we see the kind of reach buildup that's happened. We add OTT on top of it. We calculate the CPRs of a TV as well as digital and an effective CPR. And what is the incremental reach and frequency that OTT is also building into the overall plan. In my sense, OTT plays a very, very important and a critical role in building the frequency, because beyond a point, most of these giants, if you look at an YouTube or a Facebook, they give you a maximization on your reach, but they don't help you build a frequency. That's where all these smaller OTT players also come into the play, which is where you'll then start including the Woots and Z's and now for South as a market, the Sun Next, Manorama Max, or all these channels. But, well, it's yet to come up because most of the products are not in line. But eventually, over a period of time, I think that's how it will be seen to build more frequency.
Nitin, what's your take? OTT is being considered by the agencies, they look at it for frequency. So, quick response to that, and then I'll ask you my next question on OTT.
I think what he's rightly saying is that yes, brands are looking towards OTT mainly for engagement purpose. See, today what has happened is during pandemic, there was no original content on TV. That made a lot of consumers to switch to OTT, right? And what actually happened in this process was the consumer got choice. Previously, the consumer never had choice of viewing a content. It was appointment viewing 9 p.m. There will be a show on a TV and he has to watch it at 9 p.m. Today, it's with him on his handheld device. He can watch it anywhere while traveling, while sitting at home separately in the room, and he has a choice of content. He's not forced to watch something which his family wants to watch. So that is something which has happened, and that's where brands today want to engage with those customers directly by participating on OTT platforms.
So given the fact that most of the southern markets, the traditional television plan anyways delivers equivalent of 90 at 1+. How has the adoption of your OTT platform been accepted by the market?
So for us, honestly, the journey initially was tough because the brands, especially when I talk about the brands who are situated in North Belt and the Western Belt, who have the bigger monies, right? They didn't know what AHA is all about. So we had to actually introduce it to them because we were mainly a SWOT player. We never had any ad inventory, for the brands to be played out. They couldn't even test it by running a small ad inventory on my platform. So what we figured out was, let's give brand solutions. Let's make brands the part of the content, so that what will happen is people will be able to engage with those brands. It will give them more recall value because you're part of the content. You do not have an option to skip that. So, and that has worked really well for us. In the first 6 months, we were able to generate more than $2 million of business only through brand solutions by getting brands on board. And every big brand of this country has tested and has come on our platform, be it FMCG giants like HUL to Dabur from North and South brands, local retail brands have given that confidence to us, that yes, this is the way forward. We need to have both the content which is aligned with the brand as well, so that people can engage to it and still relate to it. And also, it has also given us confidence now to launch AWOD inventory. So, to reach out to those consumers who cannot afford a premium of 399, 599 rupees just to watch one language content, why not give them at a lower value and serve ads to them? Because today Indian consumers are okay to watch ads if they're paying less. So that's what has given us confidence, and we are launching our AWOD business from next month.
If I may add just something on how this was perceived. And he's right in saying that, it's content which is really driving a lot more advertising. There were times when there were tribal moments only on TV, be it a KBC or a Big Boss, which has now come on your OTTs, which is also more like a catch-up. But then now, the world's changing. You got a coffee with Karan on an OTT and not on a TV, right? So there is a transformation that's happening. And look, there is a world movie premiere on TV, and you've got the best movie coming in there. But there is also a scam too, or an equivalent of a scam too, which a consumer's dying to watch for. So I think the really stuff that attracts a lot more advertiser as well as the impact property. So that's also an area where most of the OTTs have been maximizing the revenue.
Sure. So, Nitin, one question. Has the trajectory of downloads or adoption of your platform, has it been different after the back to normal versus the pandemic period?
Absolutely yes, because what has happened is during pandemic, people had no choice but to watch content, right? That is how they were killing time. It was people, in fact, if you would see, people had started, their sleep hours, I think, had reduced because people started watching content from every language. And content actually became boundaryless. That is why Korean content, regional language content has become super hit. In fact, I think pandemic was the period that has made people realize that they can move beyond their own language and can watch content in any language. For us, yes, post-pandemic, there is a slowdown which is there with every OTT because the wallet share is now divided among multiple things, especially after 2 years of being locked down in captivity. People now want to move out. On weekends, they again want to travel out. They want to explore things. But if you would say compare it with theaters, right? People again only are going to watch those movies that they really feel either they are diehard fans of a particular actor or they believe that it will only look good in a big screen is what they are going and watching on theaters. And they are waiting for the movies to come on OTT platforms that, okay, let's not spend too much and wait for it to, come on OTT and we'll watch it there anyways because we have a membership and we have paid for it. So yes, there is a slowdown, but people are still looking towards content and of course are taking, membership from us as well.
Sharath, the categories that you operate into are predominantly news genre advertisers. So how do you look at digital and how do you think OTT will help your categories or your brands?
So as you rightly mentioned, sir, building material as a segment itself, predominantly we advertise in news genre and to an extent in GEC also. Okay, so OTT will take its own time to shape up first. So I think as a client, okay, there should be some kind of an engagement activity happening between my customers or because the building material category doesn't have it's not like an FMCG product. There are too many intermediaries involved in the purchasing, decision. The decision doesn't come from the end user. He's been influenced by engineer, first a channel, a dealer, engineer, than or a mason in a suburban or a what I call small town regions. So end user is absolutely for him. The overall output is the one home is dream home. Okay. So you may ask me how to reach them. So to reach them, OTT will help us when there is some kind of an offer or a promo, a special offer. It's a seasonal business again. So when we are in a good season, we can promote, we can engage the end users to to look for an OTT channel. That is how we can engage initially. So as far as digital is concerned, digital marketing is concerned, yes, all companies have invested into digital now. So they are allocating a separate budget in digital marketing. First of all, the building material companies should have a good website to handle the digital. They should have a proper CRM model to get the leads and park it in different buckets. So all these things are still, as far as building material is concerned, this industry itself is highly unorganized. When we compare with, so it will take some more time to get really attracted towards OTT platform. That is the.
So, Preeti, in your base of clients, I'm sure you would have come across clients who are still fence sitters or probably having a low conviction on digital as a medium. So, how do you convince them, and especially given the fact that measurement is like a black box in digital even today? How do you convince them to look at digital stroke OTT as an offering?
So I think the agency ecosystems now look at all media together. So that's a given. I mean, that happened a decade back. I think the next era is about getting all of them to perform, which is why what I do is about how do I create that ecosystem where performance is the language in which we deliver to clients. And as far as OTT specifically is concerned, I think the established players, the national so-called players, are having their own metrics and their own ecosystem to provide that solution. What is good, which is with the regional players today, which I'm very excited and I look forward to, is that you have the opportunity to create that performance language now. That is one way of looking at it. Industry measurement is a challenge. How do we co-create that industry? Because industry measurement cannot come from one or two OTTs. The larger players are not taking the initiative. So I believe that transformation can be done by the regional players because there is a Tamil Nadu market, Kerala market OTT players, Andhra Pradesh market OTT players who can come together for South. Because these same OTT will be subscribed by somebody sitting in Delhi, somebody sitting in Srinagar also, because if you've migrated, you will get those audience there. So there is that, audience mapping advantage basis the language that they have. And they will also see that I'm sure you have subscribers across India. There's a certain percentage which is sitting across. So these are two variables that is going to become very important in how the OTT ecosystem starts transforming. There are a lot of independent third-party players who are talking about measurement in OTT. Players like Vition, who's working with Kantar. They're testing. They have a 5,000 panel. The reality is it's not an industry accepted. Correct? It is also not, it has the GRP, reach frequency language, but you can't measure them like that. It's unfair to the medium. It is unfair to the client budgets being spent. Hence, we have to put the reason, like what Vishal was telling earlier, that when I look at OTT, what is the reason of its existence? When I look at regional OTT, what's the reason of its existence? We have learnings from linear TV also, Jayesh. Because if we all know, like 15 years back, national plan, then regional plan. Today, that is gone. It is gone. It is vanished. It is regional plans first. The budgets are allocated for the states. And
I'm glad to hear that.
And hence, you have the opportunity as language dominant players to capture that ecosystem quicker. The adoption, I believe, in language OTTs will be far better for advertisers, hence. Because the planners are looking at those markets. I will fulfill Tamil Nadu requirement, Andhra Pradesh requirement, Karnataka, Maharashtra, West Bengal, if possible, Bihar, Orissa, and then say, okay, what should I top up? So that is where, as agency ecosystem, as performance-focused ecosystem, we start blending the regional OTTs
So
into
a
this.
quick one, and I'm very glad that we have representation from agency, publisher, advertisers,
Yes.
and a broadcaster. So, measurement is a big challenge. So who do you think should be pushing the needle for driving the measurement? Is it the publisher? Is it the agency? Is it the advertisers?
I think agency and publishers have to sit together and do this to offer a solution matrix to the clients who can view it from their business lens. And then, of course, all three of us have to create that language, just like how we have done for YouTube. See, in case of YouTube, Google took the initiative, right? But agencies and clients came together to support and test and then say, accepted, not accepted, refresh. We've all seen that journey together. That's the exact journey we need to do in OTT. And I believe regional OTT will be faster because there is no baggage.
I just want to add, along with this, is actually a couple of weeks back at Dubai Expo, Raj Mouli was there. So he was there at that launch of the Triple R. So he was from the media. They were asking about how this Telugu film is coming in a Indian film. So he was just replying that there is no Telugu film as such. There is no Kannada film or Hindi film. It's a pan-Indian film. This language is not at all there. So when my kids are watching Korean films in my 10 plus, 9, 10 standard and plus 2 students, so they're not watching Indian content at all. So they, most of the Korean content is watching. Another issue that's going to come up is that in my region, and the top 4 GC channels, averagely they consume around 3 lakhs to 3.5 lakh seconds in 7 days. So 3.5 lakh seconds in a week, how, when the OTTs comes up, how these seconds going to be consumed? You only pre-roll 5 seconds, post-roll 5 seconds, mid-roll 5 seconds, and then all these seconds, it has to be consumed, and you have to reach the consumer. So when the consumer is to pay for 200 rupees for your OTT, they are not actually like to watch ads in between 4 to 5 minutes, like now. So there will be very much restriction on advertisements, and that will affect the revenue of the OTT, as well as if the content will be there, subscription-based content will be there. Ads and subscription can be a model, but I think the coming year, we don't have an answer for that, but in coming years, there will be some solution for that.
Also, interestingly, even Netflix has kind of decided to open up its platform for advertisers. They will continue to maintain their premium feed without any ads being triggered. But if you want a low-cost subscription, it will be triggered with ads.
It's the freemium.
Same, but premium. But same time, no, in my region, it's as you see, 3.5 lakh seconds is the need. But if that much content ads can be carried out in the OTT in that region is a question.
No, so okay, coming to that, we also heard Nitin mentioning that post-pandemic there was a slight dip in the downloads and other things. So taking your market as an example, and now that you indicated there's a certain quantum of inventory that television is currently consuming, and will OTT be able to kind of support it, aid it, or probably create a dip into it? So how do you foresee probably the next 3 to 5 years period for, let's say, the linear television market versus the OTT market in Kerala?
See, already my market is around 10 to 12% is already consumed by fiber network. See, if I mean fiber network means out of 93 lakhs homes connected through linear digital, now the connection is fiber. So fiber means your smartphone is there. Smart TV is there. There is a couple of OTT platforms are there. So it is already non-linear viewing is there in almost 10% to 15%. In another 3-4 years, it may be around 80%. So satellite transmission may not be there at all. So my content will be all definitely will be watched by OTT platform only.
So Vishal, tell me, how will you address the requirements of your clients in a situation like this, wherein the markets are kind of seeing a growth on both the platforms, whether it is a OTT or whether it's television? So how do you think your plans will look versus what they look like currently, maybe 2 years down the line?
See, as I said earlier, Jay, I think clearly it's all about the objective of the brand, what the brand's looking for, even in that respective market. If it's going to be more top of the funnel and the awareness, and if it's going to be a reach and a frequency, absolutely the numbers have to be, put on the table to really maximize it and understand what is really giving me the highest reach and frequency. And then build that rigor and build that science to really come up with that objective, and then put your mind measures in place to really understand whether if that brand mind measures have even worked well. But as I also said, that impact is also equally hard working at the same time. So it's not about just do your reach at a OnePlus and maximize it. But you back it up with an impact, and then it doesn't really matter whether it's a TV impact or a OTT impact. In fact, the combination of both the impact works really very hard, and there's enough and more proof of the pudding, because there are lots of mind measure studies that have been done, even MMM studies that have been done, multimedia platforms, right? And it's really proven well. So if you ask me, how was it 2 years back versus how was it today, I think OTT is really getting a lot more prominence because the numbers speaking for itself. Look, I'll just give you an example of just say Chennai as a market. I was just looking at one of the plans before coming for this panel discussion for one of our brands in Chennai. We looked at the TV GRPs. We've looked at what are the CPRs that I was generating on, say, television, roughly in the range of 2 rupees, round of 2 rupees. We looked at the digital CPRs. It was coming at around 3.25 or 3. And when we combined it, it was coming at 2, roughly around 2.25, something like that. But with that slight incremental cost, I was able to add 10 reach basis point. That is more efficient, right, from a brand's perspective, because I'm getting that mileage out of it from a reach and frequency. If I add another impact layer to it, my consideration levels also moves up, right? So I think there's a lot of, all these kind of approaches which are coming into the play when you look at today's media plans.
And I'm sure once the measurement is also into play, all these numbers will get far more refined and
much richer and much
more,
deterministic.
Sharper. Nitin, help me understand, what is the USP of AHA, and why should an advertiser come to your platform?
See, I think I'll tell you from the beginning, when we were planning to launch AHA, we were also planning to launch all 4 languages of South together. Then we did a market research. We actually went to all places, towns of AP Telangana, and we actually saw that people in Tier B, Tier C towns are consuming a lot of content on their phones, mainly through these YouTube channels or to the short video platforms. But there is a very strong affinity towards the language, especially when you talk about the southern market. Now, when we saw the demand and supply of content for these people, we actually, it was a big revelation for us that there is a huge gap. Because what was happening is a Netflix or a Amazon Prime or ZEE5 or Sony Live was taking South as one market. And they were releasing content and they were doing a tick mark. Today, we have released 4 content for South in a month, but they can be either in Kannada or in Tamil or in Telugu. It doesn't matter to them. But for a Telugu audience, his content was only coming one in a month maximum. So that's when we went back to our promoters and we said, let's launch one language only, because we need to fill that gap. And that's where we came up with a promise that we will launch every Friday, we will launch one content piece. And if you'll see our content pieces, it is not just limited to movie releases. We have fiction shows. We have non-fiction shows ranging from Telugu Indian Idol, which is a singing reality competition, to a talk show where Samantha Prabhu has hosted a talk show. Balakrishna has hosted a talk show, to a game show where, so these kind of non-fiction which people engage with. We have launched those on our platform. Plus a usual of fiction web series and theatrical acquisitions that we have taken. So when we have given this array of content to the customer, they've actually loved it. And that's why we've become one of the most preferred OTT brands in these 2 states in AP Telangana. So I think that affinity has worked for us. The problem statement that we identified and we gave a cure to it has actually helped us, because we filled that gap. Every Friday we gave a new piece of content for people to watch it. So there was a huge variety, which has helped us build it.
Interestingly, you mentioned short video platforms. So my question to almost maybe Vishal, Preeti, Nitin, either of you, you know, short video platforms are actually kind of seen as disproportionate virality, engagement, and other things. Is it a fad? Uh, should brands dive into it to deliver their brand messaging?
So in the linear TV era, we were doing 5 seconders, right? We were doing 10 seconders. Why did we do it? We did it to get the virality, top of mind recall, frequency. I think it is the same to a large extent. There are two ways of looking at these short platforms. One is this frequency and top of mind. The other is making it a communication ecosystem. There are brands living through that and selling through that. So it's a commerce ecosystem also. So there are two sides to that coin. How would you want to approach as a marketer is your call. But if you're a brand that is younger in your ecosystem, in a larger FMCG portfolio, or you're a brand that wants to stand out in the crowd and talk to a certain audience, I think you should go full funnel in these platforms. Because there you will be able to make a larger impact. Doing any medium in bits and parts is where it fails. You know, like just doing, I'll try it, I'll see how many million I'll get. And actually, before these two sessions, I was sitting with Naru and we were talking about, I won't name those platforms, we were talking about those platforms saying, yaar, ye itne billion kaise aa gaye, you know, types. But the reality is, we are using it for that.
Sharat, tell me, sorry, Vishal, you want to
If I may add on to what Preeti said, and she's bang on, you know, it's all about the audiences. We spoke about 5, 10, 15. We talk even on OTT 20 seconds and 30 seconds. So look, I think the power of the syntax of that platform, if it's really unleashed well, the brand ethos or whatever the brand communication, it comes out well, whether it is a 10-seconder or 15-seconder. What works on an Insta or what maybe Insta Reels or whatever may not probably work on some other platform, right? So as long as the brands are able to adapt the syntax of that platform and really give the right communication to their audiences, it works brilliantly.
Sharat, tell me, would you kind of get into user-generated content or short video platforms? And if yes, how would you curate the content for your set of categories?
Before answering you this question, sir, what is my observation from this panel? So this is an evolving technology. OTT platform is a new, what you call, platform. So I think all companies can invest, test it out, even from the client perspective as well as from the, from the agency's perspective. So this is, according to me, my opinion, my personal opinion is, yes, it should be part of the overall budget, and it's just another medium we are adding for an awareness purpose initially. So immediately, like TV, it's a very matured medium. Okay, radio is having a RAM to an extent we get data. But this platform, yes, we can give a try. Okay, so probably maybe it may take few months or years to get a proper what you call data analytics behind it, which will convince the. I mean, my TG is something different. Your TG will be different. Okay. So all these things have to evolve. It's too early for us to conclude anything out of this discussion. OTT is one another medium for advertising. That is what I would like to convey. And we should welcome it.
Absolutely. Any closing remarks, any of you?
I think I'll just give one closing remarks. All the mediums will continue to exist, just that people will have choice depending on their likings. If you want to reach out for brands, if you want to reach out to your TG who is on short video or on OTT, you need to advertise there. If you still want to reach out to household ladies who are watching at 2 to 3 p.m. those shows, you still need to advertise on TV. So I think it's the choice that brands now need to make basis which kind of TG that they need to reach out to. But the platforms are there. There is plenty of platforms for them to advertise.
So interestingly, I recollect, probably this is a memory just flashed probably 25, 26 years back. I was actually sitting within the audience in a forum, and the discussion was, will internet kill newspapers? And one of the speakers was Shekhar Gupta. And his response was, till the time people have the habit of going to the toilets, newspapers as an industry will not shut down. So I'm sure, yeah. So while the newspaper is a mnemonic right now, people have ended up taking their mobiles and other things, watching content, reading news and other things. So yeah, I think it's been an interesting set of perspectives and views. And yeah, what I'm taking back with me is definitely a fact that OTT is here to stay. It will coexist with linear TV. I think the choices that audiences make will basically define how a market is evolving, whether it's on television or OTT. And I think the pricing will play a vital role in terms of building up that medium. So I think it's been a good conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Please stay back for a photograph. I request Mr. Kandan, the Vermilion Media, to come up on stage, please. Mr. Kandan, please come up on stage. He'll now be honoring Ms. Preeti Murthy, the president of Group M Nexus. Can we cheer them up, please? I request Mr. Karthik Murthy from Elegant Publicity to come up on stage to honor Mr. Vishal Chinchankar, the CEO of Madison Digital. May I also request Mr. Raj from Rex Spice Media to come up on stage to honor Mr. Anil Airur, the Group CEO inside Media Flowers TV. May I request Mr. Uday from OMD to come up on stage, please, to honor Mr. C. Sharat Mohan, the business head of Ferron Steels. Mr. Jayaraman, the business head of Colors, please come up on stage. To honor Mr. Nitin Burman from Ara Media. And last but not the least, I would like to call upon stage Mr. Anand Pratap from NDTV to honor our mediator of this particular panel discussion, Rise of Regional OTT, Mr. Jai Kishan Chapru, the head media and PR of ITC. Sorry, Mr. Rajaram, the business head of Colors. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. We've come towards the end of today's event, so we will now have the national anthem. May I request everyone to raise up for the national anthem, please? Thank you so much. That was definitely a very different, touchy version of Janagana Mana we've heard before, I would say. So with that, we've come to the end of today's South India Media Summit Season 3. Thank you, everybody present here today, for being such great, humble, and very sweet audience. I hope you all had a great time. I had a great time personally hosting this event today. So until we meet the next time in another bigger version of this summit with another season, this is me, Deepika Ashish, signing off on behalf of Fourth Media Dimensions Private Limited. Hope you all have a great evening. Thank you so much. God bless and bye-bye. Take care.